Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV. Hope you're doing very well indeed. I'm not doing too bad. I had a gig over in Carlisle last night, got back late, and I'm off to Chester. So just been preparing for that. So I'm off there in about an hour's time. This little video is going to be hopefully a short video. Is going to be talking about the academy. Okay, the academy graduates, the kids that come through the academy. Now, with news this week that James Trafford is going to be sold to Burnley for between 17 and 19 million pounds. Shea Charles is going to, where's he going? He's going to Southampton for about 10 or 11 million pounds. Now, these are decent sums of money, and we've had other fan bases, certainly those of a red persuasion, who have been up in arms about this, because they said James Trafford, he's never even played in the Premier League. He's going to be, I believe, in the top 20 goalkeepers price-wise in the Premier League or something, in the history of the Premier League. He's going to be well up that list. He's never played in the Premier League. In fact, he's been playing in League One for Bolton, and now he's going to Burnley. But here's the thing: if you watched him play, you actually realise he's not that bad. He's at the Euros at the moment with the kids, and they're in the final. He hasn't conceded a goal, and he's a City fan, I think, a City player. I mean, I think he joined, I saw a picture, he was very young, but he's probably about 12 or something, maybe even younger. And he's come through the academy. He's come through that system, that DNA that is now running through our academy kids and graduates as they go through the system. And they play football in the right way. And he can play fantastically well with his feet. But people are still up in arms that he's going for so much. Shea Charles, he's going, I think he played a sub appearance somewhere for City. I'm trying to remember now, but I think I saw him holding was it the FA Cup aloft or something? So the kids get involved as well. But he's going for about 10, 11 million pounds. Now, going back many, many years when the academy was opened, and I remember not so long, a couple of years afterwards, talking about that. And saying that eventually our academy will start producing players that will be either good enough for the first team, or they'll be good enough for us to sell and make good money. And so the academy has, for me, it has a few purposes, but the two main purposes: one, it produces fantastic talent for Manchester City. Phil Foden, as an example. Hopefully, Cole Palmer too. Maybe McAtee as well. There's just a few names. But also it's producing, hopefully, well-rounded, well-educated young kids to go through and play professional football at some level somewhere else. And it will also produce, as a byproduct of all this, well-educated kids who might not make the grade in football, but have a very good education behind them and don't hopefully squander what they've experienced, and hopefully don't go backwards and suffer from not. You know, if you spent 10 or 12 years with the sole aim of being a professional footballer in the Premier League, and it doesn't happen for you, that can have a very detrimental effect on your mental health. And hopefully City will produce well-rounded individuals who can go on and do maybe some business, or business related with football, or play lower down the leagues, or go into coaching, or go into physio, working with football or sports. So there's so many opportunities for these kids, whether they make it the grade at City or at another club or not. So these kids are coming through, and some of them are the cream of the crop. It's a far cry from yesteryear when Man United, for instance, were getting all the good kids, and City were basically getting City fans because all the talent wanted to go to United, because, hey, that's where the coaching was, that's where the success was. And now you see people like, was it Darren Fletcher and others, I think Carrick as well, Van Persie, they send their kids to Manchester City's academy. Why? Because it's miles better than Man United's. Now, they might move back to Man United somewhere down the line because, hey, their dads played for Man United, and you'd think the normal, natural, right thing to do for them. But their education, their founding, their grounding is coming from Manchester City. So we are going to produce fabulous talent. And I said this many, many years ago, that we will eventually produce a conveyor belt of talent that will either go into our first team, and the massive benefit of that is if they're City fans, they give that little bit extra. Okay, they've got a little bit more drive, hopefully a little bit more determination and motivation, and they will push that little bit extra. You see other players, let's just pick one out and say Cancelo, he's not getting game time, he's off skate, he's not happy. Whereas City players will stay just that little bit longer, giving it a chance to see if they can succeed at City without whinging and moaning about it. Seen Cole Palmer has had a tough season, but because he's a City fan, I don't think he wants to go out on loan. He's learning under Pep Guardiola. He's playing alongside Foden, Haaland, KDB, Bernardo, Gundogan, quality players. And that's something that you can't easily replicate. You can't replicate that when you're out on loan to a League One or a Championship side. But there's two ways to do it. We saw Doyle and McAtee go out to Sheffield United, have very good loan spells. So seen Taylor Howard-Bellis go off to, I think, to Belgium, Anderlecht with the company, and now at Burnley. So these players are coming through, and they're top talents. Okay, so City are going to make a lot of money, and from this, and there's lots of other things going on as well. There's lots of players that are released or where we don't know what the fee is, or they might be released for free. And then there's a lot of loan deals that are going out where City actually charge a little bit of money on these loans. And not just going through the academy, there's a lot of kids that actually City buy as kids and send out on loan before they've even, and they don't even step foot in Manchester. You know, there's a couple of names that you might have remember. Enis Ünal. You might remember him as a Turkish kid. I think we bought for 1 or 2 million euros. We sold him for about 12 or something to PSV or somewhere in Holland. He had a good season somewhere out on loan, and we made big bucks on him. Ivan Illich. He'll be my notes here. I'm going through the last 3 summers off, including this one, of what sort of money's coming in. But he's another one. Never, ever came to City, I don't believe. We bought him and his brother, and we sold Ivan on for very, very good money, about 7 million quid. So it is a fantastic source of income, whether the players play for City or don't. I can roll off loads more names who have joined City or the City Football Group and never played. Aaron Moy, Huddersfield player. He never played for City. I don't think Jack Harrison did. He's in my notes as well. And there's a few others. So what I'm going to do initially is go through some of the players that have come through the academy, whether at City or elsewhere, and we bought them and sold them on. Okay, so we bought players, loaned them out, sold them on, or they've grown up through our academy. So this year, it looks like James Trafford's going for between 17 and 19 million pounds. That's a heck of a lot of money. The Shea Charles, who's going for, as I said, for 10 or 11 million pounds. So we're going to get somewhere in the region of 28 to 30 million pounds just on these two kids, and there will be more. There will be more going, and we'll get more money from them. Last year, and here's another thing I forgot to mention. When we're selling players, I think sometimes we sell them under their value, but that helps them with a new club because a club's paid for somebody. And they're more likely to want that to succeed because, hey, if you paid for arguments, I'll talk about Gavin Bazunu. Southampton paid 12 million quid for him. That's a fair bit of money. They want him to succeed, and they played him throughout the season, even though he's, I think, had one of the worst records in the league at shot stopping. But they played him because they need him to be a success. They spent a lot of money on him. If you sent him out on loan, they're paying his wages. What are they going to pay for his wages? £1 million a year? We saw with Aro Muric, if you remember him, the 6'7" Kosovan keeper, I think he is. Very complicated back history with him. But I think he went out to, was it Forest? He had a bad first couple of games. He was gone. He went out there on loan. He was gone. They hardly ever played again that season. So this time round, a couple of years ago, he went to Burnley for 2.5 million quid. Burnley have played him. That's the difference. That's the benefit of selling a player. Then we have buyback clauses and sell-on clauses. You remember Douglas Luiz, the Brazilian kid? We couldn't get a work permit for him. Eventually, we sold him to Aston Villa. We had a buyback clause on him and I think a sell-on clause as well. So it gives us the opportunity. If someone really shoots through and makes it, Romeo Lavia, as an example, we could buy them back, or if they're sold on, we make money. Let's go through some quick numbers. I just got a few minutes left in this video. So last year we had Pedro Porro, a Portuguese kid. Now we sold him to Sporting Lisbon for about 7.2 million quid, and they've sold him on to 6 months later. I mean, he'd been on loan for a couple of years to Tottenham for the best part of 40 million quid. We're going to get about 12 million quid as part of our selling clause. I think it was 30%. We had a guy called Ko Ikatura. Never heard of him, have you? Most of you. We sold him to Borussia Mönchengladbach for about 4.5 million quid. the aforementioned Romeo Lavia, sold him to Southampton for 10.5 million quid, and it looks like he could be sold on for 40 or 50 million quid. I think we've got 20. I read somewhere a 20 million pound selling clause. If he's sold for 40 million quid, we're going to get another 8 million quid. So for that kid, we're going to get the best part of 20 million quid, and he never played properly for City. Juan Larios, probably never heard of him. He went to Southampton for about 6 million quid. There was Sam Edozie, I think he's a winger, Sam Edozie. He went to Southampton for about 10 million pounds. There was the aforementioned Aaron Muric to Burnley for 2.5 million, and a kid called Darko Giabe. He went to Leeds for about 5 million pounds. Now, we made the best part of 60 million quid on those sales. 60 million pounds. Almost pure profit on them. And as I said, there'll be other small bits and pieces here where we sold players for smaller amounts and some loan fees as well. So we're going to get, I reckon, at least 60 million profit. That has an impact on the FFP in the accounts, and I'll talk about that in a second. The year before, very briefly, we sold Angelino to RB Leipzig for 16 million quid. Lucas Nemecha to Wolfsburg for 7 million quid. We sold Gavin Bazunu to Southampton for 12 million. Jack Harrison, I don't think he ever played for us. He came through, I think, New York City, one of our sister clubs. We sold him to Leeds for about 11 million. And the aforementioned Ivan Illich, who we sold to Hellas Verona for 7 million. We made about 53 million quid there. Almost all profit. At least I'd say the best part of 50 million quid profit there. And again, there'll be some loan fees here and there. There'll be some other small amounts, undisclosed or very small amounts involved in some other deals. And in the past, we've also, other names, you might remember Rabbi Matondo, I think he went to Schalke. Bersant Selina, I think he went to Swansea. As mentioned, Douglas Luiz. There was Sancho. Remember Sancho? He went to Dortmund, and I think we got about 10 million quid. He wanted to leave, but we got 10 million quid for him there. And then he came to United for about 70 odd million quid. And I think we had a 15% selling clause. We picked up another 10 million quid on a kid who didn't want to play for us. That's 20 million quid. Now, the huge impact that these sales make, okay, as I said, we're getting a lot of money. Every season, we're going to get, by the looks of things, around 50 to 60 million pounds. And most of that's pure profit in our books, okay, in our accounts. And why does that have such a huge impact? I'll give you an example. We're looking to buy Josko Guardiola. Let's say we're going to pay 80. Let's say we're going to pay 90 million for the kid, and we put him on a 5-year contract. In our accounts, that 90 million is spread over the life of his contract, a 5-year contract, 90 divided by 5, 18 million pounds each season will go into our profit and loss account as an expense. Let's say we paid him 200 grand a week. Let's say that's 10 million pounds a year. So each year, his amortization, that's the 90 divided by 5, the 18 million, plus his wages, 28 million, will go as an expense in our accounts. Okay? But to balance that, we've just made 50 million quid in profit on sales of players. So, basically, we could buy 2 Guardiolas for the amount of money coming in. We could finance that. It's fantastic. And with the players, and I haven't mentioned the players we sold, like Sterling for about 50 million, Gabriel Jesus, who was it 45, Zinchenko for about 30 million. We're making good money on these players as well. And if Bernardo goes this summer, we'll make a chunk of money on him. If Cancelo goes, if Laporte goes, we could be making the best part. I don't see why we can't make 150 million quid on the sale of those 3 players. If that happens, that just funds our purchases for a very, very long time. It helps to balance the books. City gonna, if you saw the videos we did recently with the Colin Savage, football finance expert, talking about City, talking about the finances, and talking about focus on the charges in 3 videos. CAS ones, the UEFA ones and the Premier League ones. And then we moved on to talking about City's income and about City one day potentially being the first £1 billion turnover club. It sounds far-fetched, but we're already expected to reach 700 million pounds in the next set of accounts. Why can't we carry on and on and on? Big sponsors want to be associated with winners. City are winners. We're winning a lot of prize money, Premier League prize money, Champions League prize money. And when we get the expanded Champions League, there'll be even more money coming in, I think. When we get the expanded Club World Cup, even more money coming in as well. So City are very stable, they're doing very well on the financial side of things. FFP is a dark and distant memory. Hopefully, once we get these charges dealt with and exonerated again, as we have done before, then we just move on forward. We're a very strong, stable club. So these players, they are the future. The children are the future. The children at Manchester City, the academy kids, they are the future. Each year, they will be bringing in a ton of money when we sell them on, and some of them will make it through. And my dream, and I think a lot of the older City fans' dreams, are to have a team full of City youngsters. Local lads who grew up supporting City. As I said, we've got Phil Foden already. Cole Palmer might be another one that makes it. Maybe McAtee comes back and he makes it. There's loads more coming through. Rico Lewis, he looks like he's making it. Can you imagine having a team in 2 or 3 years' time with Rico Lewis in, with McAtee, with Phil Foden, with Cole Palmer, Erling Haaland as well, Julian Alvarez, Rodri. Man, it's an incredible thought, and it's fantastic, and it's why Manchester City will, I believe, even when Pep goes, stay as one of the strongest clubs in the country, in the world, both on the pitch and off the pitch. Guys, if you're new to the channel, it would be fantastic if you could subscribe. We're growing at such a pace. It's been incredible. We've seen the subscriber base go up by about 30% in the last month, which is incredible for a little channel like ourselves. Almost at 1,500 subscribers. So if you can subscribe, it would be fantastic. And if you can hit the bell icon so you're notified as soon as new videos come out. I know there's 2 notification things on YouTube. If you can hit them both, make sure you're notified as soon as new videos come out on the channel. We'll see you around, Blues.